Welcome to another MP4Nation.net play and review. Today we have the new RAmos V80. It only got released in China on Christmas Eve. It's the first Chinese MP4 player to utilize a modified Windows CE 6.0 called the WinTouch interfaces, developed by Microsoft China with RAmos. But you're probably going to see the WinTouch interface on more Chinese players in the coming future. Like most RAmos players, this player currently only comes out in 2 GB. Hopefully they'll start making 4 GB or even 8 GB players of this. But anyways, here's the accessories. You got your standard 5-pin USB cable, your installation CD with like conversion software and such, your Chinese language manual, but as you'll see the player is pretty straightforward to use, your warranty card. It does have a stylus pen you can attach to the player, but you don't need to use it at all. And just unscrew it here. There you go. You don't really need to use this at all. I guess some people might like using the stylus over their fingers. It's slightly more accurate, but not noticeably. It has your standard RAmos headphones. They're pretty decent. And here's the player itself. It only weighs about 45 grams. It's pretty sleek. Nice. It has very nice finishing. So it has a nice metallic front. Has a button here for navigation if you want to use instead of your fingers. It has a 1.3 megapixel camera, inbuilt loudspeaker. Over here you have the 3.5 headphone jack. Up here you have the USB port, and you have a micro SD slot where you can add up to an additional 2 GB worth of memory. I don't know if future firmware upgrade will add SDHC support. I suspect it probably will, because that's becoming a popular popular item on players. So if it does, you can add up to 16 GB worth of extra memory. Here's the power button and the volume buttons. One downside is that this player does take about 30 to 45 seconds to load up. Now let me just tell you why I think Microsoft is being pretty smart about this, about the WinTouch interface. Most people in China cannot afford to buy an iPod Touch. It's just out of their reach. It's just too expensive. China, the fastest growing consumer market, Microsoft's created an interface for touchscreen that's actually pretty innovative, pretty nice, and it's going to be very popular. I've shown this to a couple of people already and they love it. And Microsoft is going to sell this to other MP4 makers, and quickly you're going to see these players being exported out to like America, UK. You're going to see a lot of this interface around. Because it is new, this player is only in Chinese language, but I've already got a hard confirmation from RAmos within the mid-January that there'll be the first firmware update, and with it we'll add English traditional Chinese, Japanese, Korean, German, French, Russian, Portuguese, and Spanish language support. But as this player is a mostly graphical interface, you really don't need English. I mean, it took me about half an hour to figure everything out. I mean, you can do a simple trial and error. You can pretty much figure out when, you click on the format option and you know when to say no for that. So, it's not that hard. You can slide through the menus like this, or back. The touchscreen is pretty responsive, and you can even drag back, forth, drag there. You can use the button if you want, or you can just press up here to get the sub menu. You can change the background pretty easily by pressing up here. I believe the images you're seeing are preloaded into the firmware, but any image you have on this player you can set as the background also. And then you can change this window theme also to a bit darker one, which I think is better, just shows better. I'm not too big of a fan of the transparent theme. Let me just show you how to lock this player. I thought it was pretty cool. To lock it, you make a circle and it locks. The touchscreen is unresponsive. To unlock it, you have to make another semicircle, and I always have kind of trouble doing this. There you go. I guess you just gotta get used to it. And then let me just show you the functions. It has your standard functions, your image, video, and music player. Yeah. There we go. If you see any, like, the screen not being responsive, it's me doing it more than this. The touchscreen on this is actually quite responsive. but I won't, I won't lie, there are still some bugs in this firmware. Yeah, but then again, for just a new release, it's still pretty stable and pretty good. And here you have the images. I have found that sometimes, maybe because I use my thumb mostly, that when I'm trying to zoom in and zoom out, it can sometimes mistake it for me wanting to switch to the next image. You might see it on this demonstration, but I do think it's more because it's my fat finger, because I've tried with the stylus pen and it doesn't happen. So you can just flick through images like that. Go back. Then you can zoom in, zoom out. Then you can go pan and pan around. As you can see, the touchscreen is on this is responsive. I'm not pressing down very hard either. There you go. And you can, like, the third option up here is to set it in as your background. And you just close the function here. And then this is basically like you can browse all the files, your music, your video, your ebook. If you have any photos already, you took with the camera, it'll be here. And you just close it and go for the music and audio. The music on the audio on this is very good. I was very impressed with the quality of the audio. It does play MP3, WMA, WAV, OGG, FLAC, and AC3. So it does play a host of file formats. It does have a playlist sort of deal. It's like on the fly. You can just add files from the directory. And that's why I said, if you're familiar with Windows, you'll know how this layout all works. It's pretty straightforward. And then you can just add, and you can even drag and add multiple files at once. It's there. And even the loudspeaker on this is pretty good. I chose wrong. Yeah. It even supports lyrics. And then you can use your finger to adjust the volume here, but again, maybe it's because I'm using my thumb. I prefer to use the volume buttons up and down here. You can jump to any part of the song quite easily, or use the buttons to fast forward. And you can multitask. You can exit this and use any of the other functions. As for video, let me load up just scroll to find a video on this. There we go. The videos, I guess it's pretty good. I mean, it plays AVI, ASF, MPEG, 3GP, MP4, real MP4 format, and FLV. The reason I'm kind of cringing is because AVIs only play at a maximum of 20 frames per second. But if you do MPEG or ASF or MP4, these formats play at 25 frames per second. FLV only at 18. I don't know if this is a hardware limitation or a firmware limitation. I've emailed RAmos about this and they have not got back to me about it. Nor do I know what the audio chip is on this, but whatever it is, it's actually very good. It's comparable to my Meizu M3 that I use. As for the processor in this, I'm guessing Samsung ARM. I know the clock speed is 200 megahertz, but they haven't indicated what the actual chip is. But normally, if it's not like a Rock chip or ADI, if they don't mention there, it's usually the Samsung ARM. And I think it would be probably the best suited chip for the Windows CE interface, operating system, sorry.